Join us on the Poetic Odyssey, a celebration of voices, cultures, and the power of words. I'm Amanda Eke. Welcome to The Poet Speaks, where every syllable ignites inspiration.
Year in Zimbabwe.
What stories are on these tracks?
This idea of the Bronx, now, boogie down Bronx, that's what people say, right?
Don't become someone's subway story.
Medicate me with a lick and a like. I am not afraid to love you.
All of us have a story.
Magnifying glass because you can't see otherwise.
No one wanted to listen.
Yeah.
So I think that's what made me a writer.
In writing, the writing just comes.
You ready? Amazing poetry awaits.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Poet Speaks podcast. Now, our next guest is the author of 4 poetry collections, including Volcanic Interruptions, which earned an honorable mention at the 2024 International Latino Book Awards. Her forthcoming collection, Variations in Blue, will be published in March of 2025 by Letras Latinas, Hen Press, California Arts Council Fellow. She is passionate about advocacy for Latinx arts, and social justice. Everyone, welcome to the Poet Speaks podcast, Adela Najarro. Adela, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing well today. It's a cloudy day in California, but I can't complain. It's actually beautiful. You know, there's eucalyptus trees in the gray, and that's very nice.
It sounds eucalyptus. It sounds so fragrant when I hear the word. But before we begin, please say your name. Say your name correctly. I know I may have.
Oh, no. You said it right. Okay, there's 2 ways. American English way, Adela Najarro. That's fine. The way my mother thought it is Adela Najarro.
There we go. Okay. You gotta
and I'm used to both.
There you go. Your mother tongue, that's the most important, how your mom said it. So there we go.
Oh, Adela then.
There we
go. With the TH.
There you go. I appreciate
Adela.
it.
Yeah.
But speaking of that, tell us a bit about your childhood. Now, I know you just said you're in Cali right now, but tell us, are you born and raised there? Tell us about your childhood and where you grew up.
Yeah. So my family is from Nicaragua. Everybody except us kids, like the cousins, the one, so okay, I'm an adult now, but I still think of, the adults, right? So when I think of childhood, the adults were all from Nicaragua and all the kids were born here. And so my mom and dad, they both emigrated from Nicaragua to San Francisco, and they met, I think it was at a party. At least that's what they say. They say that people would throw parties in their basements in their houses, and all the people from Nicaragua would go. And so there was like a little Nicaraguan community where they met. And then me and my brother, here we are, and so then we moved around a lot. I always write about my mother. I forget where she's in this book. She's in every single book. And one of her ways of dealing with life's problems was to get up and move. So if there was a problem, let's just move. Let's move. Let's go somewhere else, right? But we didn't really move a lot because it was always in the San Francisco area, and then we moved to the LA area, and then we're moving along there. So I don't know. I just remember that from my childhood, just moving a lot, and my lovely mother who passed about 1.5 years ago.
Oh wow, may her soul rest in peace. Tell us a bit about then. At what point you said LA? So you moved to all these different places. Where did poetry find you then?
I was always a creative child. So I've even written about a story. I haven't published it yet, or maybe I did. Sometimes you forget. But I was in 4th grade, and I was writing limericks. And I remember about this because I fell in love with limericks. I also like jokes. Like I was one of those like fart jokes and all that was funny for me as a kid, ha ha ha. I was that kind of little girl. So limericks, those are amazing. And I fell in love with them, and I took out all the kids' poems in the school library. It's a little tiny library, but I did all this work, and I made a little book of limericks, and I think the teacher wanted us to write a few poems. And so then the teacher was like, okay, children, there's some poems that have been turned in. And I'm going to read you this one that's wonderful and blah, blah, blah. It was another girl's limerick, number one. But number two, she had copied it from the books.
Wow.
So I remember, that's why I remember, like, people ask me, when do you remember? But that's my poetry memory. And so I must have been writing before that. I just remember that because, the teacher didn't acknowledge my beautiful, authentic, original limericks
Yeah.
and instead praise those of a cheater. No,
Yeah.
nothing bad happened. I don't remember anything bad happening, but that's my first memory. And I always wrote. I had another one, real pivotal moment in high school, creative writing class, the start of the poetry unit. And the teacher asked us to write poems. She let us walk around the campus and then we turned in our poems. And the next day or the next class session, I walk in the room and she had written my poem on the chalkboard.
Wow.
And I was like, what? And then she's like, oh yeah, this is what a poem's supposed to be like. You guys can do it. And I was like, oh, wow, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
You need some positive reinforcement,
Yeah, I would say those, teachers, for you to have at that age your poem just written on the board like that. I mean, does
Yeah.
that I feel like that could either inspire a call to action in that young child, or it could inspire all types of hesitation and just embarrassment. But you want the first way. It really inspired a call
did.
to action for you. So that's pretty amazing. So tell us now as we kind of transition with your career. So you have, and I should call you Dr. Adela, excuse me, because you have a doctorate in literature and creative writing from Western Michigan Uni.
Yeah,
You
I
also
do.
have an M.F.A. from Vermont. So tell us a bit about how that kind of transpired to, then going the academia route and going that, what is the long process to get a PhD?
Okay, all right. Well, so it's my story and it's a complicated story. So I think I'm just gonna start it. So in my 20s, when I graduated from undergrad with a English major in creative writing. So the
Mhm.
school I went to offered a creative writing degree, and it was in poetry and nonfiction. And I tried to get a job, and I couldn't. It didn't happen, and I ended up as an elementary school teacher. I also ended up in an abusive marriage. And so I stopped writing during my 20s because of that. And I got a divorce in my early 30s. And in a minute, I just started writing first minute I was out of that relationship and I was free from it. I was just writing. I was staying with my father and my grandmother. And I remember I was writing on scrap pieces of paper on the washing machine.
Wow.
And all this. And so I contacted my undergrad professor, and he was like, you know what, you should go to a master's program. And I'm like, what's a master's program? I didn't know master's programs existed. My family's from Nicaragua, like I said, and then all the kids were born here, and there was a big push from my mom, go to college, go to college, go to college. Well, I did that. And then, if you didn't know the abuse was happening, hey, I was really successful. I had my college degree. I was married. I was teaching full
Yeah.
time. I looked good on the outside, right? And but the writing has always been the real me. And so I contacted my teacher, and he said, go to the M.F.A. I didn't know about M.F.As because I'm first generation person here in this
Mm.
country. My family. Some of us cousins have gone to college, not all of us, but we're the first ones, right? So my parents, there was nobody that could help me navigate college or figure out what college was. Or, like I said, I didn't even know that master's programs existed. I know, it's crazy. It's crazy. But he told me that, and I'm like, oh, well, that's interesting. So I went to a low residency program
Mm.
at Vermont College, and they still call it Vermont College, but now they're located in LA. And the low residency program was perfect for me at the time because I could keep working. And what I did is I went to Vermont for the residency for 2 weeks, 2 times a year. And it was the best thing I ever did. I mean, I worked one-on-one with different writers, and I would send them a packet of poems and essays because it had to be academic, right? So you had to write scholarly essays on poetry. But hey, I loved poetry, so it's fine with me. Let me read poems and write scholarly essays around it. That sounds like fun. And so I got to do that for 5 semesters, 2.5 years, and I absolutely loved it. And I was like, I want to keep doing this. I want to keep doing this. So I set a little plan in my mind that I was going to um, either I was going to apply to Provincetown. They have a year-long fellowship, or the Stegner here in California at Stanford, which is a 2-year program, or the PhD, because some of the faculty I'd worked with in my master's program, they had a PhD program. And if all of those didn't work out, I was going to go get another master's, like a master's in literature or something at San Francisco State, right? Because I was just going to, I don't know, I was going to figure out a way to stay in school and keep learning and keep reading. And the one that came through was the PhD. So they gave me full funding. They invited me to Western Michigan. I knew 2 of the professors on the faculty. They were amazing people. And so I was just like, wow, I get to spend all this time reading and writing and thinking and sharing my work with my fellow students and with the fact. And that's what it was. 5 years of that. It was the best.
Yeah, no, that's when
Yeah.
you're in that process of the PhD, getting it, you really are just creating new knowledge. So it is such an amazing track to be on, especially for something that you love so much. No,
Yeah.
that's really amazing to hear. Tell me a bit about how, a lot of people have the argument the creative side of you can be kind of bogged down when you mix it with the solid dome of academia, especially for writers,
Oh,
right? It's such a creative
yeah.
field that so many people that didn't have formal training have become so successful, right? And I've just, been able to find it as a mode of expression, ritual, etc. Tell us, how was the academic experiences? How has that shaped your creative mind as a poet, though?
Well,
Or
what
for
I think
even for
this is
worser or for better,
oh,
even.
definitely for better. For better. And again, it's kind of like what so I had this abusive marriage episode in my 20s, right? And when I left that, I totally changed my point of view towards life. And I was like, never ever will I do something I don't want to do.
Yeah.
So if I had been in that PhD program and I didn't like the instructor, or I didn't want to do something, or it totally seemed ridiculous to me, I wouldn't have done it. But I also approached it with the open mind. And it's
Mm,
like, okay, why? Why does everybody say that this person's poetry that is impossible to understand? Why does everyone say this is amazing? Right. And so I forced myself to understand that. I went through. And then what had happened was, instead of, judging different types of artwork, I began to see, oh, this is the way a certain poem can be understood.
mm,
Another poem can be understood in this way. Another poem can be understood in this way. And I did come away from the process with a very strong critique, in that I don't believe in hierarchies. So I refuse to say that somebody's work is better than somebody else's.
sure.
And instead I say, oh, well, that work is doing these things. And I got that from the PhD, right? I got that language from the PhD. And so I could say, give somebody a poem and people be like, why is this poem heralded as the best thing ever? Well, let's have a discussion about that. Now, it doesn't have to be your best poem, but it's a poem there. And then what I realized, though, then, is that this non-hierarchical thing, everybody's creative work can be viewed in that lens. What is this person doing? How are they doing it? Why are they doing it? And I find that to view the world through respect and love and appreciation, we can expect and love other people's work, no
Mm,
matter where they're at, whether they're award-winning poets or it's just they wrote their first poem yesterday.
mm.
Why do we have to say that one's better and that one's not? I totally have an argument. No, that's not acceptable.
No, for sure, for sure. No,
Yeah.
that whole kind of the competition breeding something else. the whole competition in the arts, I think, can definitely breed, maybe doesn't breed what the whole kind of DNA of what of what we're trying to create is in the first place. So that's a very, very good point. Kind of moving along, tell us a bit about your collection, Volcanic Interruptions. It's such a powerful name, Volcanic Interruptions. I could think of many volcanic interruptions that have happened in my life on my journey, right? Received an honorable mention at the 2024 International Latino Book Awards. Now, tell me a little bit about how did that recognition impact you and your work, seeing that you're so close to, advocacy for Latinx peoples in the arts?
Well, I've been doing this for, if you go back to the original story of being in fourth grade, right? I've been doing this my whole life, and I have a PhD, and and I have a book out and books out and all this, but I still I don't think very many people know my name. Maybe some people do, what I'm saying? Like if somebody said, "Hey, name a Latina poet right now," I don't know if my name would appear on the top 10 list, right?
Yeah.
And so having awards of this nature help you in that regard, right? And even though I said I don't like hierarchies, the hierarchies exist in art. That's just the way it is. And so I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping that if my name recognition, my poetry gets a wider audience, then the things that matter to me, my ideas can be in discussion in a wider place. And I mean, I hope that that's what would happen. And little things like winning an award do that, right? They help others see you.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Definitely the those kind of prestigious on mentions, it really does help give you leaps and bounds to get your work seen by more people that may have never even seen it before. So that's such a great
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Tell us, do you view awards like that? At this stage in your career, is that for you? Are awards, are they a big part? Do you think consciously about the marketing around that? I will say as an artist, there's our creative side, but if you do this for a living, there is the business side that you do have to pay attention to. How much do you focus on kind of those achievements and distinguishing awards?
Well, I don't I okay, I'm aware of it and I apply. Like the National Endowment of the Arts has a award every other year, right? And even though I forgot to apply last year, but that's the first time in like 20 years that I forgot to apply. So I apply every year, and why? One, it comes with a little extra money, and that sure would be helpful. But two, again, it's that kind of thing. But do I spend a lot of my time doing that? No. Instead, what I spend doing my time is I spend creating community.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm on the board of directors for Círculo de Poetas and Writers, and my book is coming out, and two of the other women on the board, they had books coming out. So we did a local book tour, Las Tres Chicas de Círculo, and we went to Fresno, we went to LA, Anaheim, Monterey, Santa Cruz, Lodi, California. And we're going to these places just to build community and to build a network of people and to in that way get our voices out there, our ideas shared, and our poems in the hands of the reading public.
Yeah, no, that's fascinating. That tour that you kind of just took into your own hands. How important do you think that is to kind of just take these types of things, building community within, each other, right? You found two other women poets to kind of make that tour together. How important do you think that aspect of the field is to really take your future, take your publicity into your own hands? How
Oh,
important do you think that is?
I think that's the secret. That's how you do it. Now, yeah, I'm going to apply to all these things, but where my life is in these community building activities.
Yeah.
Because I had a great time on our book tour.
Mm.
I had the readings, all of that kind of fun stuff, the social media posts and all this. But what was most not most, because it's all part of the package, right? It was meeting the people, meeting new people, interacting with new people. It was just really good.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
could I could imagine. I could really imagine that. Yeah.
And so one of the things I've been finding out too, because on my road to publication, I applied to poetry contests over and over and over, and finalist this, finalist that, finalist this, and eventually I got but it took a long time. It was a lot of work. And Volcanic Interruptions is the publisher is a small local publisher here in California.
Mm.
And I met her. She worked at Cabrillo College, and I met her and we talked. And I told her I had this idea for a book, and she said, "Oh, well, let me see the book." And then she liked it and she published it. So that book was published through Building Community.
Wow.
And also Variations in Blue was also published like that. Letras Latinas in Notre Dame is the Institute for Latino Studies at Notre Dame. Francisco Aragon runs it. And I've known him for over 20 years. And he is a loving, generous man, always trying to connect poets together, Latino poets, to get Latino poetry acknowledged on a national level. And so, every time Francisco says, "Hey, this is happening," I'm like, "Okay, sign me up. Sign me up. Sign me up. Sign me up."
Yeah.
And he selected that collection as part of the curated series with Red Hen. So that also came from Building Community,
Yeah. Wow.
you
Wow.
know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so and that's when it feels real when it's like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not going to turn down, "Hey, Adela, you won a $10,000 prize for your next manuscript." I'll go, "Yeah, sure. Thank you very much."
Yeah.
But this feels really, really authentic and makes it all worthwhile.
I mean,
Yeah.
no, that sounds beyond amazing. I mean, that sounds like a really genuine, like you said, genuine, authentic circle moments that were really just happening all for you at once, all these different people coming together. Now that's
Yeah.
amazing. I really do wish that for more writers to be able to experience that type of community and support for sure.
Yeah.
Now,
Well, if you don't have it, you can make it.
there you go. Yeah.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that kind of brings me to my next question. Well, tell us, what advice would you give though to emerging poets who are passionate about writing and want to use their writing, as advocacy, right? Whether it be for
Yeah.
advocacy for whatever cause, maybe even just, pushing themselves. Like you said, if you don't have that community, build it. But how do you build it, right? What would your advice be to those poets who are
Yeah.
passionate?
Well, I don't know. Well, you know what? One of the good thing I was going to say, I don't know if everyone has as much poetry as California seems to have,
Yeah.
because when I was in LA, there was poetry. I'm in Santa Cruz County, there's poetry. San
Yeah.
Francisco's filled with poetry. And by poetry, I mean people having open mics and
Yeah.
spoken word nights and at the library and, all over wherever I've lived, there has always been tons of poetry opportunities for people. But since for the pandemic, I mean, we all suffered through that. But one of the benefits of the pandemic is that we're all online now.
Mm.
And so if there isn't an open mic or a poetry community that you can join in your town or community, there is online. There is online. And if you're listening to this, you can email somebody like myself or someone like Amanda and ask, "Hey, what do you recommend?" And I know I could write an email to whoever wrote me, and I would say, "Oh, how about this one, this one, this one, this one, this one," and
Yes,
so
ma'am.
I would first thing I would say is go out and meet other writers.
Mm.
And is it in your community or is it online? That's the first thing. And then the second thing I would say is be strong, because
Mm.
you have a right to express what is going on in your life the way that you want to express that. And, just be strong and stay true to who you are and write from the heart,
Mm.
write from your experience. And then the third thing would be, yeah, it's a good thing to read, right? Read books, go out there, learn, take classes, take writing workshops. I've loved doing that and I've learned so much.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It takes small steps to start that long journey. No, I love
Yes.
that. Absolutely, absolutely. Now, tell us a bit about your role on the board of Circulo de Poetas and Writers. I know I
Yeah.
butchered that, but tell
No,
us
that's
about your
okay.
role and
That's okay.
how this organization really supports Latinx writers, and kind of talk about a bit about what it means for someone to join a board of an organization and what that kind of looks like for a writing organization.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So, well, I just start with the name. So the name itself is in Spanglish, Círculo de Poetas, Spanish, and writers, right? And that's on purpose because the United States, the Latino language is Spanglish, is this mixture of English and
Mm.
Spanish. So we want to put that out there, you know. Okay.
Mhm.
So what does it mean to work on a board? Well, it's saying, hey, I am an organized entity, you know, and I have power of certain, you know, I'm not going to wait around for somebody to come knock on my door and say, "Hey, will you come here?" I'm already here
Mm.
in the culture space of the
Mm.
United States, right? Right. So Círculo happened because there's a lot of writing groups. There's Macondo, there's Canto Mundo, there's a few more. There's Cave Common,
Yeah.
Cave Canum. There's the one for Asian Pacific API, and but there wasn't one in California. And the poets started bickering. We're like, oh, the Texas. So this, because people do this. Oh, those Texas people only like Texas poets. They don't like California poets. La 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 la. And so then Lucha Corpi, who's celebrating her 80th birthday soon, she's like, stop that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stop that. All of you, stop it. Why don't we meet at my house and let's do
Oh, wow.
something? If you think there's not anything out there for Latino writers, meet at my house and we'll make something.
Mm.
You know, so it was Lucha and Francisco X Alarcón. He passed away from stomach cancer a few years ago, but they were well published, well received Latino authors, and you know they gathered all us niños. Come here, little ones. And so we met about for 5 years, just kind of informally, and you know, we just tried to do it. And then we realized, you know, if we don't make this a formal board and a nonprofit and you know formalize this organization, it was going to fade away.
Yeah.
Right. So that happens sometimes. You get something going and there's energy, and then it was starting to fade away. So a few of us got together and said, no, let's make it a nonprofit and start on the board. So we've did that, and from the very beginning, we started in 2015. I think 5 years we were kind of like uh just free floating. We weren't organized. And then in the fifth year was when we started the nonprofit. So now we've been around for 10 years, and it's just really powerful to have a space in the culture where we can create and design our own work.
Yes. Yeah. No, I love that. I love how you describe that. You know, you're an entity that's there to create their own. And yeah, no, you do have Cave Canem on the East Coast. I mean, you have that in the city. So yeah, that's a pretty amazing thing to be able to create this organization that supports your own. And what has been the kind of feedback you've gotten then from the community?
Well, we keep growing. So the board, you know, we're all working and busy. And so on the board, we decided we're going to do one thing, and we're going to have a 1 day conference in August every year. And because of the pandemic, it's now a 2 day conference because we have to do one in person
Yeah.
and one online. So, but it's a day where we have workshops, but they're generative. They're generative workshops. In the middle, we have a tribute to a living writer, and then we end at an open mic.
Mm.
And so that's where our work is focused on, except this year, which is our 10th year anniversary, we're doing a little bit more, a few more events. And like Odilia, one of our board members, she decided she wanted to do a quarterly writing workshop on the four elements. So
Nice.
earth, wind, fire. And so those are free, and they're out there, and we're doing them this year.
All right, well, big ups to y'all. Tell us a little bit. How can folks get involved as they're listening to this podcast? Tell us about how they can get involved in De Poetas and Writers. Tell us a
Oh,
little bit about that.
and it's open to everybody. So you
Okay.
can be a published author with 15 books and all the awards, or you can just be going like, I don't know if I can write a poem. We take everybody. And so you go to our website, and it's kind of easy. Okay, I'm going to say it in English. circulowriters.com. circulo writers.com. And you go there and you look at the web page and you can see what we're doing, our events, our members. One of the nice things we did on that website is that our members have a picture, a writing sample, and a bio. So if you don't have the time or energy to make yourself a website, you could join us and at least you'll be on the web, you'll be out there. You'll have a presence where you can send people and stuff. So it's kind of nice that way. And then we have a newsletter.
That's actually fantastic. A lot of people, they need that that beginnings of a portfolio almost. So that's great that y'all actually provide that free of cost. Okay, well, everyone, check that out. It'll be again in the description box below. But let's move on. You're dropping a lot of gems, but I want to turn the focus back on you. Share the inspiration behind your latest poetry collection, Variations in Blue, and tell us when we shall look forward to that and what themes can readers kind of expect, and what was really just the inspiration behind the latest collection that you have.
Okay, yeah, that's a great question. So it's coming out March 18th. Pre-sale orders are now available. If you go to my website, the links are there. If you go to Hen Press, it should be easy to find online. So it's called Variations in Blue. Here, I got it right here. Look at this beautiful cover. Isn't that pretty?
Wow. There you go.
Isn't that pretty? Isn't that pretty? That's so pretty.
Absolutely.
Okay. And so every poem in the book are variations. So there's little multiple sets. And it comes back. I mean, maybe you can say it's part of the PhD. I have a funny story about it though, too. But it's this whole idea that though we are masters of craft and language, and that's what I do, and that's where I play, you can never, ever completely communicate 100% to everybody. There's this seepage in language that just doesn't, what you write is never going to be 100% one-to-one connection, correspondence between the writer and the reader. So what I did was like, oh, okay, well, let's just write the same ideas, but variations on them. Variations on them. And in here, there's a Nicaraguan poet. His name is Ruben Dario. And he is a famous Nicaraguan poet from the 1900s, around there. And he wrote a famous book called Azul. So then I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to tap into that cultural heritage, but I'm also going to play on the blues. Right. So this is Variations in Blue in lots of different ways. And so the book is in 3 parts. And the first part is about being being Nicaraguan heritage, but really not belonging to either culture. So I wasn't born in Nicaragua, so I can't say I'm Nicaraguan because I wasn't born there. And I went once and they were like, "You're American." And I'm like, no, my parents could have been, they're both Nicaraguan. No, and it must have been the way I talked or looked or something, right? So they were like, no, you are not Nicaraguan. And then here, oh no, you're not American. You're not American. Look at the way you talk. So I'm like, what's going on? So there's always this imagining of, what is Nicaragua? What is life? And that's like the first part. And I also have a few ekphrastic poems there about Latino art. The second part of the book is that I finally am able to publish poems about the abusive marriage. And the reason being is that I never ever wanted to be a movie. To be an abuse movie. I no. And I never wanted to be Adela Najarro, the abuse poet, right? That was not, no. I am Adela, the poet who writes about all kinds of things. And so it just took me a while to heal and to learn about poetry, to write about that experience and go in it and come out. Right? Go in and come out. So that's the middle part of the book. And then the third part of the book begins with a poem called What Changed. Right? And so it's like when I changed one husband to another, I changed the locks, I changed, and it's just really fun. It's like I changed. So then the second part of the book is What Changed. And it ends with a meditation on Nicaragua and the volcanoes. So back to the volcanic interruptions, right? Because my life has been filled with volcanic interruptions, right? It hasn't been calm and easy. It's been very volcanic. But what I think I've done is I've changed all of that into power, So this happened to me, but what happened, I changed that into understanding about the human condition. Oh, can I say that?
Yes, you can. There we go. Wow. Very, very powerful. So those three parts really envelope, so many parts of where you are, who you've been, and where you're going, right?
Yes. Oh, that's a great way to put it. Yeah. That's a great way to put it. Yeah.
No, so I love that. Variations in Blue. So everyone, March 18th, by the time you're listening to this podcast, that'll be available for everyone to purchase, correct?
Yeah.
Available for purchase. Where can folks purchase that? What's the primary website or place to order?
Well, I would go to Hen Press.
Perfect.
Hen Press. And also my website, adelanajarro.com. It's available there, or actually I think it just links to Red Hen.
Perfect. All right, everyone, go check that out. Now that sounds like it's gonna be a heck of a read and a heck of a collection from a heck of a lady. All right, well, we appreciate Adela. All right, it's been an amazing conversation. We really appreciate you dropping gems, sharing so much personal stories, anecdotes, and why you write poetry. But we do have one last question for you on the Poet Speaks podcast. Why do you need to get your words out?
Because, well, there's two. One, I have a personal need to prove that I exist and that my presence on this planet matters. But two, in my journey to accomplish that, I've learned that my voice has not been heard. Nicaraguan American, survivor, transformer of abuse, all of that. My stories and poems are poems and stories that need to be out there and need to be heard to expand our understanding of what it is to live on this planet.
Absolutely. Well, y'all heard it here. All right. That's why she needs to get her words out. All right, Adela, now before we can finish, please do tell us, what is the rest of 2025 looking for you like? And tell us, drop your social media links, websites, so everyone can check out all of your amazing work.
Okay. All right. So social media, Instagram, Adela Najarro _, and then Facebook is just my name. One of the nice things about having a unique name is my name. Just look up my name and you will find me. And then, I'm going on a year-long promotion of the book. So I'm going to conferences, I'm doing readings, and if you're a college professor, hit me up and adopt this book.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So that's what it's looking like for you. Hopefully you're gonna have a great time on that tour. Definitely Variations in Blue. Everyone go check it out. All of Adela's links will be down in the description box, no matter where you are listening to this podcast. Adela, thank you so much for being a guest today on the Poet Speaks podcast.
Thank you, Amanda.
Absolutely. And again, everyone go check out all of Adela's amazing work. All of her links will be down below. Everyone, this is the Poet Speaks podcast. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.